have to do with each other. Both of these subjects are vital important, so please ensure that if you have a meeting, bring some friends, all that kind of stuff. I guess that's what's more for the website than for right now, so oops. I guess I shouldn't read teleprompters either. So without any further ado, Karen Schoen. One thing I did want to say about Karen is this woman who has taken upon herself to also run for office has literally traveled the entire state speaking upon this issue. She goes out there and educates people as much as she possibly can. There's a lot of people that you can consider to be, you know, tip of the spear kind of people. Karen is the point, that's the shiny thing on top of the tip of the spear when it comes to things like Agenda 21. This is an inspiration to me, the fact that she's just out there getting things done like she is, and I highly support her in her efforts and in her campaign. I'm a big fan. So, without any further ado, Karen Schoen.
Thank you all so much for staying and listening and getting educated, because that's what this is all about. We started the agendas about 5 years ago, and that was with Tony and Deb and some wonderful, wonderful people. And we believe in truth, education, conversation, and action. And now we're up to the action part. And that's one of the reasons why Tony and I are both running for office. We believe in leading by example, and our example is to take the next step. We've been to Tallahassee, we've lobbied. We recognize the fact that we are not listened to at all under any circumstances, and by we, I mean we, the people. The only people that gets listened to are those that make the loudest noise and have the most money. And basically now it has become those with the most money. So people are judged in a campaign by how much money they have, and not by how many people they touch. And that's why Tony and I are running for office. And that's one of the things I am going to talk about in a little bit. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the background and information of Agenda 21, because you've already had that seminar. So what I'm going to do is kind of tie the pieces together and let you know how they fit and how they're being used. Because the one thing that's happening is that every plan is exactly the same. They all do the same thing. They all start out the same way. They all manage the crowd the same thing. And they're all the same plan. So if you understand the plan, it makes it easy to do something about it. And that's the part where we come in. Okay, we have to make a decision. Do we want to be one nation under God, or are we going to be one nation under the United Nations? And the people who are running this show are called progressives, or communists, or socialists, or authoritarian, or totalitarian, or dictators, or a host of many other things. I like to call them communists because that's what they really are. Most people shy away from the word communism basically because they don't understand what it means. Communism means the total loss of control by the people and the total control by government. You will have someone telling you what to do 24/7 and dictating your life to you. The groups that are involved in this are basically all the same people, and they all believe the same thing. There's a couple of them up on the board up there. They all have one goal. They made up of 3 words: money, power, control. That's it. They do not care about anything else. And when I say they do not care, I mean they do not care. They don't care about the chemtrails. They don't care about your food. They don't care about your children. They don't care where you live. They don't care what you do. They do not care, period. And if you If there is one person there that cares, you are delusional, because they do not. The only thing that they care about is themselves. Money, power, control. Now, money they get because they print it. Very simple. We can't print it. They have all the money. Okay, that's a given. They use the mechanism of regulation for control. The one thing they are missing is the power. And power is an unusual thing. Someone can only have power over you if you let them. If you do not comply, they can't have power. And it's that simple. What we have to do as Americans is understand that we, the people, have the power. God created the people created the Constitution created the government. The created does not have power over the creator. We've lost sight of that fact. And basically, we've lost sight of that because it is not taught in school anymore. The group that is involved in this are globalists. They are looking for a one world government under a new world order headed by the United Nations. Period. That's it. They are not interested in anything else. Everything we do today is sliding right into that goal of theirs. There are 4 very important sentences that you should take away from this meeting today. And those sentences are that everything is connected. Nothing is random. Everything happens for a reason. And the one that's the hardest one to swallow is that everything we are doing today is based on a lie. Pure and simple. Lie after lie after lie. And if you can understand those 4 sentences, it makes going forward easier, because now you know that what they say is a lie. How do I know they're lying? Because they're talking. How do I know they're lying? Because they tell you they're lying. How foolish are we for not paying attention? Their goal is to divide us, and we should be united. And therefore, as part of what we say in our education, is that we are Americans, period. When I fill out a form today, and I go to the end and it says, what race are you? What nationality are you? I put other, and I write American. I'm not going to be a black or white or Jewish or whatever. American, I am an American. And if we put American at the top, we are the largest group of soon not to be free people that ever existed. And that's why we have to be divided. So we have to take back, by taking back the vocabulary. One of the things you heard, don't use those words. Same thing, don't use Agenda 21. It will make people nervous. Every time we hear a new program and we find out what the program really means and does, they change the name, like Common Core. Same program, same everything. All they're doing is using their favorite key or favorite find that says find, cut, replace. Highlight the name, cut, replace it with a new name, and leave everything there. All the programs are the same. They have been around for 100 years, and they are not going to change unless we change them. And the only way that we can change them is the one thing that unites all of us, and that's the truth. And if we continue and tell the truth, there's no way that they can change it. Two lies do not equal one truth. Truth equals the truth. And one of the things that we have been guilty of when people say, Karen, well, how did we get here? Why is this happening? My answer is very simple. Look in the mirror. Because this is our doing. This is our fault. We listened too well. We became politically correct. We did not call them out when they lied. We became the silent majority because we were told to be silent. We listened too well. And we did not talk about politics and religion when politics and religion are the single biggest driving factor in America today. Listen too well. It is time to stop listening. I will not comply. When I hear a lie, I don't say he misspoke. I say he lied. That's what he did. He lied. And if we don't start doing that, then we are going to be the useful idiots that they call us. Because that's their name. Why did they choose America? Well, America, if we took a border and we put it around the landmass called America, we would find that we are the only nation in the world that has every resource available to be self-sustaining. We do not need any other country for anything at all in order for us to thrive. We have more natural resources than any other landmass in the world. We have more natural gas, more fossil fuel than any other landmass in the world. And that's the problem, because in America, that is supposed to be owned and controlled by we, the people. If we allow them to take it by being silent, they will, and they have. And we have a perfect example of that with what just happened with Clive and Bundy. But do not think that that is an isolated incident. This is going on in Florida as we speak. And this is a big problem because we, the people, do not know our power and do not pay attention to what's going on. And as long as we continue to do that, we will lose our country. Our children will be slaves under communism. I've seen their plans. You have seen their plans without even realizing. And the only ones that can save anything is us, sitting in this room, sitting in other rooms across the country. The purpose of Agenda 21 is just an agenda. It's a book. You had someone here the other day. It's 350 pages, 40 chapters, and over 4,000 regulations of how to control every aspect of human behavior, bar none. So while we were being told that Agenda 21 does not exist, we were being lied to on a daily basis. How do you control millions of people? You lie. Very simple. So their plan is simple. Lie and lie and lie. And the fact, I asked an attorney the other day, I said, if you had a contract and I had a contract, and this contract was issued to me which said one thing. And when I started acting upon it, I found out it was something totally different, totally opposite of what I thought it was. And it turned out to be a total fabrication, total lie. Would not work, could not work. do I have recourse? And he said, absolutely. You got to sue bastards. Of course. Well, you know what? That's how we got Race to the Top. Race to the Top was given to our legislators and our governor. And by the way, that governor at that time was Charlie Crist. They signed it. Most of them signed it without reading it. And Common Core and the national standards weren't even written yet. How can you be held to something that you have no idea what it is? And when all was said and done, because the carrot of money was waved in front of the Florida flag, our wonderful governor, Charlie Crist, sold our children into slavery for $65 a head. That's what Common Core was all about. That was the amount of money that was involved. G. Gary Lawrence, he was one of my favorite people. He worked with Bill Clinton. And when Agenda 21 first came out as a UN initiative, G. Gary went to Bill and said, you know, if the people find out this is a UN initiative, they won't like it. So we better change its name. And so we got Sustainable Development, Resilient Cities, Future Earth, Sustainable America, you name it, and a host of other things, all the time while groups like JBS were being told that they were crazy and this program does not exist. David Rockefeller even went to the press club and thanked them for keeping it silent for 40 years. But worse than that was what they did to our children at that time. This book is called Rescue Mission Planet Earth, a child's edition of Agenda 21. This book was in our public schools in 1994.
Wow.
Written by the United Nations and UNESCO. I was not teaching at that time, but I had teacher friends in New York that gave me this book. Now, why am I showing you this? I want you to understand where are the 10 through 15-year-olds that read this book today. Where are they today?
In the government.
They are in our government. Now let's see how propaganda works. On page 24, it says, Agenda 21 says, polluters should pay for the damage they cause. Those using cleaner methods should be rewarded. Do subsidies sound like a word you've heard before? Taxation on a coal industry to drive them out of business sound familiar? My question is, though, who determines who are the polluters? Well, obviously, if you're not a friend of the environmentalists, then you are a polluter. It says you must, on page 50, it says, Agenda 21 says, we must reduce waste, recycle, and tax those businesses that do not adopt a cleaner production method. How many businesses have we put out of business using words like this? Yeah. On page 60, it says, the military wastes the environment according to the World Watch Institute. Who is the World Watch Institute? A government-funded group of bureaucrats who get money from we the people to go out and promote green energy. Hold that thought. The military, World Watch Institute says, is the single biggest polluter on the earth. On page 73, it says, Agenda 21 says, funds for these programs could be raised by reallocating resources now committed to the military. Mission accomplished. These are the types of books and materials that our children are reading. They are reading that we, the humans, are immaterial because we are the destroyers of the planet. They are reading that animals, rocks, things are more important than humans. Your children, your grandchildren wind up hating their parents for being polluters of the earth. What do they learn? They learn that they must be sustainable. What does sustainable mean? Sustainable development means the development of a society that meets the needs of the present society without compromising the needs of future society to meet their own needs. What does that mean? It means do not touch anything. That's contrary to our way of thinking. The American way of thinking was, I'm going to leave this earth in a better position for my children. And they, in turn, will better it for theirs. And in the last 10 years, in America, we will be the first generation that leaves our planet in a worse condition for our children. Your children are reading what is not sustainable. Ski runs, grazing of livestock, sheep, goats, and horses. What just went on in California? What is going on today? What does Obama want to tax? He wants to tax the farmers because their cows are farting too much. Imagine if he lived during the time of a dinosaur. Oh my God.
Killing that industry, killing the beef industry.
I went and met with the
And the
legislator.
dairy industry.
I asked him if he believed in man-made global warming. He said absolutely. Oh my God, Karen, it's a horrible thing. We are in control. I said, oh really, we're in control of it. I said, I bet you believe that carbon dioxide is bad. He said, carbon dioxide, that's horrible, that's toxic. Oh my God, we have to eliminate carbon dioxide. Really? And how do you expect to eat if you eliminate carbon dioxide? And yet Bill Gates is on a YouTube video telling all of the children that we should be living in a world without carbon dioxide.
Zero.
He wants zero
I-
population, that's why.
I asked my legislator then to do me a favor and take a sip of the Coca-Cola that was sitting on his desk. And then when he finished taking a sip, I went like this. And I watched him. And he said, Karen, what are you watching? And I said, I want to see you die because I've never seen anybody die from carbon dioxide poisoning. And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, what did you just drink? And he turned the can around and he said, carbonated water. And I said, what is carbonated water? And he said, I don't know, water with bubbles. This is in school. This is why children have no idea that the sun controls our planet. This is why people can be fooled into believing in a 750 plan in South Florida that the oceans are going to rise 4 to 20 feet and they should be building a seawall going from the Keys up to Indian River. Except somebody forgot to tell them that Florida was a peninsula and putting a wall on one side is not going to do a lot of good. But since our children no longer know geography, they have no idea what that means.
Right.
And this is the value of the education that has been given to us over the last 30 years. The education has not changed. It is a deliberate dumbing down of our citizens. And it is our job to not allow that to happen. one of the worst things that, let's see if I have the map. This is the book that I was just talking about.
Can you still do that? Might be able to. Google
These are
it.
some of the agencies that are helping to promote Agenda 21, just a partial list. There's the rest of the list. There's over 2,000 agencies in the state of Florida that are pushing this agenda. And every single one of them is unconstitutional. How do I know that? Because while we are not paying attention to our Constitution, Article 4, Section 4 states, every state, meaning the people, is guaranteed a Republican, meaning representative form of government. And that representative form of government is the only form of government capable of making laws. Statutes, rules, regulations are not laws and do not have to be followed by we, the people, if we understood our rights. Marbury versus Madison stated, any law repugnant to the Constitution is null and void and cannot be enforced. And yet we are allowing these people to trample all over our liberty and freedom because we have been dumbed down in school. Now I could continue.
A lot of those you see on PBS. You know that?
I'm sorry.
A lot of those names I see on PBS.
You will see them all over. Look at these. George Bush, 41. He's the one that brought us Agenda 21. He spoke in front of Congress. And when we said something, he said, no, you didn't hear me. And when Congress said no, when Bill Clinton tried to push the agenda through, and Michael Kaufman, Dr. Michael Kaufman, created this map to show what America would look like as people are shoveled off their land and over 80% of the land is not habitable. Congress said no, but Bill Clinton put unconstitutional executive orders in place that Congress was too impotent to say no to. Congress has the power to say no to any executive order. Congress, the House, has the power of the pen, which they seem to have forgotten. The power of the pen does not, underline, red, in bold, 3 times, does not have to ask the Senate to sign off on any bill regarding money. It says in the Constitution, the House has the power to create the funding, and the Senate may, not must, not will, not should, but may give their input. Let all revenue must originate in the House. And if the House wanted the EPA to be shut down, all they would have to do is say, no more money. End of story. They don't need Harry Reid. They don't need anybody else. The problem is they don't know the Constitution. And the other problem is, as Debbie said, they don't want to know. That's the real problem. Harvey Rubin. He was a member of ICLEI. He was a vice chair of ICLEI, a UN organization who was given the power by the United Nations to go to our local communities and help our local communities institute sustainability. Harvey Rubin also was the Miami-Dade clerk of courts. Do I hear conflict of interest? And yet the people are silent. Why? Because they don't know their rights. That's the problem. When 1,200 families were bundied out of the Everglades by DERM, the Department of Environmental Regional Management in South Florida, and they went to Harvey Rubin and said they're stealing our land. They claim our land is wetlands. There's no water on it. They're forcing us to get rid of our livelihood that we have had in our families for 30 and 40 years. When people committed suicide, when their barns were burned, when their lands were burned, and they went to Harvey for help, he said, private property rights will have to take a back seat to the good of the collective. He's still in office. That's the problem. In Florida today, there are over 70 seats of people running unopposed. Shame on us for allowing that to happen. And that's why I'm running for office, and that's why Tony is running for office. Because the people have a right to have a choice, and if we don't start giving them that choice, we do not have an America to leave them. The principles of Agenda 21 are very clear. They use what they call the precautionary principle. It means if I think it's going to happen, I will regulate it like it happened. We have lost our fishing industry by a computer. 40,000 pounds of red snapper was deleted from Noah's computer program, and guess what happened? Noah decided that there would be a shortage of red snapper and closed the red snapper industry. And they systematically closed the sardine industry and the black bass industry. And today when you drive around Florida and you go to the fishing villages, you will see that they are closed too. And yet we have Warren Buffett and the other economists who are scratching their heads saying, why aren't people buying houses? Why aren't people shopping? If you take away their jobs and their businesses and their income and you replace it, like Rick Scott is doing, with foreign corporations who are buying up our state at pennies on the dollar because the banks refuse to negotiate with the people. And then these people that own thriving businesses have to take a job at a fraction of their salary. Why are they surprised that nobody's buying cars and things and houses? Because they don't want people to understand that that is the real goal. The goal is to eliminate the middle class. The middle class cannot exist under communism. And they have done a magnificent job. They have eliminated God to be replaced by government. They are eliminating family to be replaced by school. And they are eliminating America to be replaced by the United Nations. And now the job is up to us. Otherwise, this map, which we have in the state of Florida, which is a map of the greenways. What are greenways? Greenways were once private land that somebody found a turtle, a panther, a woodpecker, or whatever.
Endangered species.
An endangered species, which should be the people. We're the endangered species. Their goal is to connect all of these greenways. And that's what Amendment 1 on the Constitution in Florida is about. And that's why it is imperative that we go out and tell every single person we know to vote no on Amendment 1. Amendment 1 will take $19 billion out of our treasury and give it to a group called Florida Forever. Florida Forever already owns over 1/3 of the state. They want to own 80%. Why? 2 reasons. Florida has incredible land. They know it's getting cold. They know that they are going to create food shortages. Why? Because their real goal is depopulation. You just saw a thing on chemtrails. All fits in the same thing. Depopulation is the goal. Why? They tell us because the earth is overcrowded. If we took all the people in America and gave all the families 1/4 of an acre, we would all fit in the state of Ohio. Is that overcrowded? No. But yet they will show pictures of the cities because that's where they are trying to shuttle us. And they will tell our children that the earth is overpopulated, so they must abort their babies or not have children at all. When in reality, it is to eliminate the people. 9 billion people will be too many to control. There will be some dissenters. They must be eliminated. So therefore, any mechanism possible, whether it be disease, control of healthcare, control of food, control of energy, anything to eliminate people fits their menu. Now, before I stop, I want to just read you something in their own words because I really love to use their own words. This is a report written by the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, Florida Division of Forestry, and the West Florida Regional Planning Council. By the way, every regional planning council is unconstitutional. There is no constitutional authority for any bureaucratic agency to make any law, rule, or statute to be enforced by we the people. Even if the state makes a statute, which is not a law, a rule, which is not a law, saying that these people have power, they do not. We are the ones with the power. And when I go around campaigning, I tell everybody, put a no trespassing sign on your property, and the minute somebody shows up, because now they're tackling the farmers up north, they want to put meters on their private wells and regulate their water. What will happen when that happens? Hello, California drought. We're being set up. They have no right to put anything on anybody's private property. I just wanted to read one thing from their words. They are talking about how we should be living in what they call compact communities. And it is their goal to take part in all of these numerous benefits that are in these compact communities. It will improve our health by providing safe and attractive ways to get around on wheels, like bikes, rollerblades, and wheelchairs, or on foot. What's missing from that sentence?
Cars.
Their goal is to eliminate cars. So you have a great reason to talk to an automobile. They will be established, this is their own words, we will be established and adhere to urban and rural containment boundaries. That's where they want us to live, in containment boundaries. We will offer housing for all ages and races. We will be limiting service. That means no service above a certain elevation or outside the containment boundary. And by no service, they mean roads, sewer, water lines, fire protection, and policing. What's happening now in America? What is the biggest cry that Obama has been talking about in the last week? Oh, we need money for transportation. Oh, we need money for transportation. Our roads are deteriorating. Our bridges are falling apart. Give us more money for transportation. We give them the money. What do? They build bike paths. and walkways. And then come back and say, we have no money for transportation. We need to put a toll road up. We need to tax you more. Everything is connected, folks. Everything is a lie. And the faster we get in tune with that, the faster we'll be able to correct it. Think about a pyramid. Turn it upside down. We are the tip of that pyramid right now, with our knowledge and ability. It's going to take, it took them 100 years to get here. It's not going to take us 100 minutes to get rid of it. It's going to be a long process. But it starts in school, and it starts with money. And if we focus on those two things, and we go to the meetings, we go to the school board meetings, and we run for office, what's the only way to beat a system is to become the system. You have to participate in the system if we're going to take it down. We can't sit on the sidelines anymore. We have to stop throwing socks at the television and yelling at the announcers on the radio. And we have to have conversations with our neighbors. In my campaign, I'm asking the people that follow me to donate $10, get a yard sign, business cards, and find 10 more people and talk about Amendment 1. Talk about something that causes their pain. Now is the time to do it. And if every person got 10, who then went out and got 10, by November we would have an incredible voting bloc. But the rule of 80-20 says that's not going to happen. I believe that's wrong. I believe that the 80-20 rule can be turned on its head. Because right now when I go around, I am getting more than 20% of the people who are willing to do something. So the rest is up to us. Thank you all for listening.
That concludes the meeting for tonight.